There has always been a problem with people not being able to discern what is real and what is fake. Even in the world of AI now, a person with discernment can read something as potentially fake, falsified, or not genuine. I realize there's great exceptions to this stuff where something can be so convincing and it's presented through a medium like Twitter or Facebook and it flies past you and it's like, wow, I can't believe it. And then 100 other people believe it, and because they believe it, then you believe it. But this is a defense mechanism against stupidity, okay? You don't just believe something because other people believe it. That's sheep brain, dude. Why would you go, oh, I'm just going to follow after Bob because Bob says. Like, why would you follow after anybody just assumedly, like it's just natural to you and you would never question? You should always be questioning. That is abstract thought. That is thinking. It's part of the whole problem with the world today, where like people who just follow other people are running the show now, instead of people who actually have their own ideas, original thoughts. Because God forbid you should have an original thought that doesn't match up with like the agenda or the narrative that whatever party is supposed to be promoting. It's insane. Like, why does what you think have to match what other people think? That does not lead you down the road of knowledge, wisdom, and success. Does not bring a nation to prosperity. People thinking on their own brings success because people who come up with ideas are thinking outside of the ideas that other people have. That's where new concepts come from. That's where new science comes from. That's where new revelations of the truth come from. You know, throughout history, governments have tried to influence what people will believe. A government that was powerful would be able to enforce that their people had a certain preconceived idea about, let's say, a certain foreign country. Or the leadership there. Oh, the leadership here is totally infallible, has never made a mistake. In fact, the leaders here are gods, the pharaohs, right? It was implied, they were trying to communicate confidence to the people that we don't make mistakes. We're well informed. We know what's going on better than you, right? So people have been led. Yes, we allow ourselves to be led. We allow the people who are responsible for our well-being to tell us the things that we need to know. Our mom and dad tell us, don't do that, you could get hurt, and we believe them. The government tells us you could get a disease, and so we wear a mask. We're very compliant. We want to go along with leadership. We want to believe that leadership has our best interest at heart. But there's a very important thing that's being missed. Among all the people who just sort of follow along, right? Whenever someone is just following along, you know, there's an absence of thought that happens where that person says, is it easier for me to dwell on, and I don't know if this is a conscious choice, I think it's a mechanism of the human species where that's just how we work. I don't work that way. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised a way where everything that you hear, you bounce that off of something that you know to be true first. Without going into too great of detail on biblical stuff, let's talk about just having a framework. The Bible is true. But even assuming that it's not, you have a framework that's been working for thousands of years. Truths about humanity that you cannot sever from the real world. Humanity longs for something more than this world. Humanity is not like any other animal. Humanity has a soul, a being dwelling inside us, a conscious thought. That being has been corrupted. You are born into corruption with the potential to do wrong. These are things that we know. We see them every day. But why don't we believe? Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to believe all the Bible stuff, except for the fact that if you can't know that already, then you can't bounce anything off the truth because you don't actually know the truth. Let's think. People are basically sheep. They follow each other instead of following the guide of their own conscious thought or their own, what they see, right? Their experience. and you're told the thing that happened before your very eyes didn't happen, and if you say that it happened, you're going to go to jail, or something as bad is going to happen to you, or people are going to be mad at you, and so you just go along and you let them write the narrative, and you buckle down and you go along your way, and you just let them keep on doing what they're already doing. It's a dangerous road. It's a very dangerous road. The world needs people who can think for themselves. People who can think to myself, that's interesting. I wonder if that lines up with the truth about humanity. I wonder if it's true that a person who would do this would do that. How would those events transpire? How would that happen exactly? Let me think. It's just like I tell my 5-year-old daughter, you gotta think. You gotta use your brain. You gotta pause. Do I need to ask mommy this? Or can I think and get the answer for myself? But just ask mommy, because it's easier just to latch onto another person and have that person dispense all the things that you believe. And then they just eat it all up. Whatever they say, oh yeah, I believe it. I believe the news media. I believe the outlet. I believe my favorite influencer on TikTok. They're just eating this stuff up. What is going on? Stop believing everything that you hear on the internet. You've got to look at reality. AI is going to put some crazy stuff in front of us in the next 5 years. There's going to be stuff on the news. Already the news was in question to begin with. Now AI is going to give us pictures, video, all that stuff can be fake, and it can be high quality. So going back to the times before we had the internet, AI, computers, and all that jazz, what did people used to do? Well, they still kind of did the same things. They weren't really sure. They didn't know. They might hear a rumor, but they wouldn't totally believe it. And people who could think for themselves would always think, does this match the truth about human nature? Are people corrupt? Will people take advantage of this? Will people do a bad thing in response to this? It's kind of like if you put cookies on the table in front of children and you just have random children, no parents nearby or anything, they're probably going to eat the cookies. At the end of the day, right? It's just assumed, human behavior. So if you're going to go through great expense to put a lot of cookies on the table, knowing that people are just going to swipe those, and you've demonstrated that you basically don't have any grasp of the truth about human nature. In the Army, I just began to think what I've seen is reality. I've now observed what people are actually like. And then I started to watch movies, and I thought, for some reason, because these movies seem so much more realistic than the movies I was raised on, these movies must have been based in reality. And all those movies that I watched painted a very false picture of what the world was actually like. I saw, drug kingpins and stuff being filthy rich and having mansions, and I guess it probably goes on somewhere, some way, but not in the movies at all. I believed a lot of that stuff that I saw in movies. I can't believe it now today, looking back, that I did believe all that stuff, but it was conditioning. I was exposed to it. I had a preconceived notion that I was being shown real stuff. And for some reason, like I said, I just believed it and kind of went for it. And that resulted in me having a very, very bad life after the Army. I made some terrible choices. But these bad choices, they're a result of that kind of conditioning where something gets repeated to you over and over and over and over again until you just have no other choice but to accept it and believe it. And if the person who's forcing a lie on you wants you to believe it more than you want the truth, you will eventually believe the lie. That is the thing with brainwashing. It is going on. It is actively going on in the world today. And I see stuff online now, and I see people commenting on stuff, like commentators talking about a story or an event that happened, or a conversation, or a guy that went on a date and this conversation happened. And I don't believe a lot of those things now, because what you'll end up finding out is that so many of the stories were debunked. And if the stories are getting debunked, then that means they're being manufactured. Now, we already know that people have been manufacturing falsified stories for all of time, literally. Since the beginning, they were trying to convince people that there was a different narrative than what there actually was in reality. Satan tried to convince Eve of a different narrative than what God told Adam and Eve in the garden. And then you have all the leaders of olden times trying to convince their people that the people up the street are your enemy, and you need to stay here and submit to us and pay your taxes and send your kids to war and do all this stuff. And you have lie after lie after lie after lie from human leadership trying to convince the people in all their different ways. How can we manipulate these people? How can we keep them calm? What can we do? How can we just get them to do what we want? How can we control what their behaviors are? How can we control the next generation? Can we educate the next generation in our own way? Take that teaching away from the parents so that we control what the children believe. Then the children belong to us. This is a stage of developing communism. This stuff is going on in our country today, and people aren't even awake to it because they believe the lies. The lies are always coming for you. The lies have been coming for humanity since the dawn of time. The lies have always been flying towards us as fast as we can move. And all you can do to help you deal with the lies is to know a greater truth that helps you know which of these items are lies and which of them are truths. You cannot discern a lie unless you first have a basis in truth. That is what you do. So, we have to attain to the highest possible level of truth. We can't be stuck down here at science level. Science level truth is just a minuscule amount. You know, think about all the stuff that has happened throughout history that was hidden, secret things. You know this in your life. You have secret things that no one will ever know. And, well, maybe, I would say the majority of people have secret things that nobody will ever know. You've moved away from that part of your life. Somebody somewhere knows about it. Somebody knew about it. It was a story that someone heard. Maybe it's a story that's been circulated around for years and years after you've been gone. But you've done things in your life that were a secret. They stayed a secret with you, and they'll be a secret till you die. And think about those secrets, and then think about bigger people. Think about kings and queens. Think about senators. Think about presidents. Think about congressmen. Think about statesmen. Think about governors. These people have secrets, and they have other people that are willing to work with them or look the other way and let them get away with something. There are a lot of secrets in this world and a lot of wrong things that people have gotten away with. And you can't believe everything you hear from the history books. So just like science is everything that we know, what about all the things that somebody knew about but they didn't tell anyone? What about those? Somebody covered up the truth, right? Somebody found out something. Instead of sharing it with the world, they covered it and concealed it. Then as a result of that, more disaster took place in the world. Or science takes a strange direction of believing things that are simply not true. Physically disprovable things. But we call it science, knowledge. But we say science, the science, the science. The people who know the science, we trust them, we trust them. They could tell you anything. They could tell you that the moon is made of green cheese and that they have a video of a guy eating it. I mean, literally, AI, like you could make a video of a guy eating green cheese moon. They could say anything. You can't just believe. And at the end of the day, I want to make this case, I want to make this point. Don't just believe things you see. Don't believe things you hear. Just say like this. Say, if that's true, that's horrible. Or if that's true, wow, that's amazing. But you haven't seen it. You haven't proven it. You don't know. Okay? You don't just dive right in. Woo! We're going to go in. We're going to go into that world. We're going to believe that. Everything they eat, we're just going to believe it. Just believe the things that you've seen with your eyes. The things that you've heard, you partly believe them. You give them a little bit of credibility. Oh yeah, I once heard there was a guy, I don't know for sure if it's a true story, and simple as this, if it sounds unbelievable, it probably isn't true. Believable stories always involve some nuance and complexity. I heard an interesting point on YouTube. There was a guy talking about the salt and how salt has been demonized. He explained that when there's a statement made, but there's no nuance to it, and no details or explanation, it's more and more likely that it's not true, or that it's fabricated, or that it's a deceit of some kind, maybe even something that's being used to control or manipulate you. So that is why when something is lacking nuance and the element of, how it happened, how it began, what happened then, a sequence of things, right? A revealing explanation that doesn't leave out key points that you're curious about. Because you should be curious. You should be asking, oh, that's interesting. Wow, an accusation. That's interesting. Okay, when did it happen? Oh, I see. Did it happen at this school? Oh, wow. I wonder what other students were there at the school at the time. Wow, interesting. Oh, okay. Oh, is there anybody that can corroborate the story? Was there someone that took a picture or a movie? Maybe somebody wrote about it in their diary and was disturbed for years to come. Something, right? There's got to be a story. If somebody says, hey, that guy killed someone and buried them in his backyard. Well, hey, that rumor could be very damaging, but I'll tell you what, the world should never believe something without evidence to prove it. Do not fall for the lie. There must be evidence. The evidence that is present will be pushed through the jury, through the judge, through the executioner. It will go through the course of the law. Here in this country, we have a system of law and order. If you commit a crime and someone has evidence, then you will be punished. That is the system. Now, people get away with stuff. I understand corruption in the system and all that. What I'm saying is, for people who go online, you can go online and read all kinds of crazy stories. You know, if you read about whey protein, do you know there are some horrible things about whey protein? Wow, whey protein will not only liquefy your intestines, it will also cause brain damage and make you smaller when you go to the gym. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe it. Now, if you're a discerning person, you're going to think, who would want me to think that? Who would be interested in having me think that? Then just take a quick look. Who's talking to you? Who wrote the article? Who are they connected with? Maybe it's the opposite side. Maybe it's an opposing position trying to put something in front of you to make you not take whey protein. Maybe they want you to take a different kind of protein. There's pressure on you from all sides trying to make you do things, trying to change your direction. Don't fall for it. Your direction in life needs to come from something more than the next voice you hear. This is the point that I'm trying to make. The things that you hear online can be false and they could be a lie. You have to believe only the things that you have seen with your eyes. And even then, you're free to question, because sometimes your eyes can fool you. If you've seen a magic show, you know your eyes can tell you things that aren't true. Maybe it's your mind, maybe it's your heart. Something is telling you something not true. But you believe it, you want to believe it because the lie is more appealing than the truth. The truth is so complicated, so hard to handle, so hard to absorb, so painful, and so revealing of the human condition and of the idols that we hold up. The truth is complex and detailed, and it breaks down everyone into all their different vices, their struggles, their strange occurrences, the mysteries of life, the strange miracles that happen, strangers who happen to meet, the odd coincidence that takes place without any earthly explanation whatsoever. And you know, reality also too includes, you know, the good things about people, even the person you hate the most. Even the person who you feel is to blame for so many things, for so many troubles, that person has a human side. They have their own good desires. Even the murderer, you know, you would hear people say Adolf Hitler. They would refer to him as the definition of depravity and human wickedness and all the evils and ills that he brought into this world. But if you can't see that there was a human side to every person, including Adolf Hitler, that had good intentions, then you've simply missed the truth about humanity. The truth about humanity is that we were made to do good. The vision and hope to do good is in all of us. You can't measure specifically all the lies that someone has fallen for and then judge them based on that. Someone can be wrong and pursue that to the destruction of the entire nation, or to the destruction of themselves, their family, whatever. You can believe something that's not true and become a force for evil, okay? But that doesn't mean you're evil. It means you've committed evil. There's a difference. God gave all of us, inside our being, something, some core some vision that desires accomplishment, greatness, desires greatness, the form of greatness that you may not have even seen, but have desired it. You've desired it, the acclaim of men, the glory of being a mother or a father, the joy of one day seeing your child graduate college, the hope I have of someday restoring this truck to a good working condition and being able to drive it every day and use it for quotes and various errands. All the different visions, the great visions we have. I've envisioned in my lifetime having a property and a wife and children and a dog and maybe some chickens and a garden, and all of those things have happened, and I'm 34, and so many of those things have already happened. That vision can open up for you. Those things can happen. You can see that fulfilled, but you could twist it with your own devices, believe a lie, and go a wrong way. And the part of you that has a desire and a grasp on that glorious vision will dissolve into chaos as you go forward into doing something that you are not intended to do in this life. A bad thing, a bad life, to be drawn away off the path, off the way of righteousness and into evil. We all have a choice to make. Are we going to do the thing that is our glorious calling, the hope of eternity, and the blessing that our life is meant to bring into this world? Or will we do the thing that Satan's devices wish to draw us out into, the wandering and the binding, the hedge of thorns, the way of the wicked, the way of the fool, the way of the slothful? Choose your way. When it's a lie, you don't believe it. You think, is this true according to our knowledge of human nature? Human nature, once good, created by God for holy intentions, to commune with Him in the garden, a perfect place with no harm, no injury, no death. Or the side of human nature where we have the potential to do harm, to do evil, to take it upon ourselves, to enjoy the fruits that do not belong to us, to execute the will of the serpent rather than the will of God. Discern these things, little children, and you will be free.